I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a bit over superheroes. I haven't seen most of the DC films. I usually wait till the Marvel ones are out of the theaters, and I just don't get that much excitement from it anymore. In fact, I think the last time I was excited walking out of the theater of a Marvel movie or a superhero movie in general was this one. And that's not to say that I didn't like the other ones. I really liked Guardians of the Galaxy and Captain America Winter Soldier and a few of the other ones, including the Avengers. Like, I enjoyed them. I just didn't walk out of the theater or finish watching it and get that really excited, pumped feeling. So when I went to go see Black Panther, even though I had heard nothing but good things and I had several friends who I really trust their opinions who all enjoyed the film, I went into it a bit skeptically because, again, I didn't want to get my hopes up. It was just another superhero film. It was another Marvel film. I didn't want to feel that excited because I didn't want to be let down. That being said, I can say with absolute certainty that I loved this film. That's not to say that it didn't have any problems, of course it did, but I genuinely really enjoyed this film and I walked out of it feeling super energized and excited. I called my mom, I was thrilled, I think I tweeted about it or at least texted a bunch of my friends. I was pumped when I came out of that theater because I really genuinely enjoyed it and thought it did so many things right. So now let's kind of go through what I liked and didn't like about the film, but I'm going to start out first by giving you a short little synopsis. So this story follows T'Challa as he inherits the throne of Wakanda from his recently deceased father. Wakanda is a little African country which is hidden because centuries ago, a meteor hit the land which Wakanda is on and basically spread vibranium, which is a metal with a bunch of magical properties, all over the land and made it super prosperous, but also made a bunch of, I think it was made five tribes war over the land and the vibranium until one day a warrior ate what is called a heart-shaped herb and basically got some special powers from it, and this warrior became the Black Panther, the first Black Panther, and then basically that title was passed on from generation to generation of rulers because now 4 of the 5 tribes live under a united kingdom, which is now known as Wakanda. But they didn't want the vibranium to get into the wrong hands because of course it could be super dangerous, so instead they led these super prosperous lives living in Wakanda, but they've put up a kind of shield barrier around themselves, and basically everyone in the world thinks that they're this third world country that is struggling to get by. So that way they can keep, you know, all the vibranium out of the wrong hands and also kind of keep the wealth to themselves. They basically just put it under the guise of wanting to keep the peace. But back to T'Challa, his ascension to the throne is anything but smooth, and he discovers a lot about his father's rule and his father that makes his ascension even rockier, and he realizes that he's inherited some of the problems that his father has created. It delves into politics and has some really interesting themes, and I really genuinely enjoyed that aspect of this film because I think it made it rise above a lot of the other superhero films that I've seen. And again, that's not to say that I didn't enjoy them, they were fun, but I really think that this did an amazing job of combining the superhero genre with some really interesting themes and ideas. So with that, let's move on into what I really liked about this film. And I'm going to start out with some of the film stuff. The visuals in this, for the most part, I really loved. I loved the vibrance, I loved the color, the action scenes, for the most part, were really fun. I really liked also the costume and set design. I thought for the most part that that was really awesome and brought a bunch of life to these characters and these tribes, and then also made them easily identifiable and all very unique, which was a really nice touch. And it also helped with clarity in the movie, which was also nice. Another part that I liked was the score and soundtrack. I thought that that was really awesome and epic. They included a lot of R&B and hip-hop tracks, as well as kind of more traditional African music, the drums and stuff. I don't know enough about music to go into this too technically, obviously, but I just thought that the combination of sounds and music really fit the vibe of the movie and also added another dimension of world building. And on top of that, I just thought it was really unique because I haven't seen music like that in an action or superhero movie recently, if not ever. And yeah, I just thought it added a really nice flavor. It kind of reminded me of Helix, which is a show that I don't think anyone has ever seen ever. But they do a really interesting bit with music because it's kind of like this zombie show, and they have like really nice jazz music playing in the background. So it's like this nice contrast. But I'm going way off topic. So back to Black Panther. I also thought that it was directed really well, and I thought that the actors gave truly great performances for the most part. I really believed it and felt emotionally invested. But now let's dive into more of the character and story aspects. So what I really liked about this film were the characters. I loved the large cast in the protagonists. I also really liked the antagonists and villains in this film, and I thought that it was really well done to feel a lot more grounded than a lot of the other superhero films. It didn't rely so heavily on humor and instead sat in the emotion, which really allowed the characters to, again, feel grounded, but also for me as a viewer to feel emotionally connected to the characters. I'm going to start out with T'Challa's family. His sister and him get along great, which I really love seeing because I think, you know, to add drama, there's always a sibling rivalry kind of thing, and I have a great relationship with my sister and my brother, and I really love seeing positive examples of families and just family dynamics and relationships. So I really enjoyed the brother-sister bond that T'Challa and his sister had, and I thought that she was super funny. I mean, obviously, she's kind of the comic relief a lot of the time in this story, and she didn't feel as grounded as the other characters. I don't think she had a huge arc, but that being said, she was funny. I liked their dynamic. I thought she was a nice touch, and I would have definitely missed her had she not been there. Another character is the father and the old Black Panther, who has recently passed away, but we do get some sequences where T'Challa is able to talk to him, and I thought this was done in a really interesting way because he has already passed away when the movie starts, so we never actually see him in real life, or I think we get a glimpse of it, but it's all kind of told through T'Challa's vision of his father and his experiences that he's had with his father and his expectations of his father. So it's kind of this biased view of him, and sure, we get the interactions after he's passed away, but we're not sure how reliable those are, and even if they are reliable, it's kind of interesting to see the progression from at the start of the movie to the couple times where he is able to talk to his father, because each time he's coming to his father with a different perspective of him. It's very interesting, and I'm not going to go too far in depth with it because obviously spoilers, but I thought that they did a really interesting job of that, and I hadn't really seen a relationship like that happen because, you know, usually you can't talk to the dead. So I thought that they approached that in a really neat way. So moving on, we have Okoye, who is this warrior woman, and she protects the king slash Black Panther. She's loyal to the throne, so not necessarily the Black Panther himself, which is again an aspect of the film, but I'm not going to go too far into that because again, spoilers. But I really enjoyed her character. It's really nice to see a physically strong female character who's also very maternal. I think she, you know, because she's older than T'Challa, I think it's very nice to see some of the struggles that she had as far as loyalty to the throne, her country, like her honor, as well as love and compassion that she has for certain people. So it's nice that we get to see a battle kind of within her and that she has that depth. I love seeing women who have vulnerabilities, who have struggles, who are physically strong, because a lot of the times they don't have as much development as some of the other female characters. I don't want to go too much into this because I've already done videos on, you know, physically strong female characters, but I did think that they did a really great job with this character in giving her some depth. I also wanted to say that Danai Gurira, oh god, I have no idea how to pronounce her last name and I apologize, but I think that she did a great job as Okoye, and I thought that her performance was really nuanced and great. Then we have Nakia, who is the love interest of T'Challa's. They have a history. She wasn't my favorite character, I'm gonna be real. I don't think she had a ton of development. I thought she was fine. I thought that the actress Lupita did an amazing job as far as her performance, but I didn't think that there was much there as far as depth or character development. Again, she was just kind of a strong female character who was also political. Yeah, she didn't really do much for me. Moving on, we have W'Kabi, and again, this was a character that I was not super fond of. I'm gonna do minor spoilers here, so I'm gonna put my hand up while I'm talking and you can just skip if you haven't seen the movie until after that. But this character does a little bit of a flip, and I didn't think that there was enough backstory to justify that. Like, I didn't feel like it made sense to me why he would do this flip. I didn't feel like there was enough backstory and why he would be so mad at T'Challa for not capturing Claw. I know that it's explained that his father was killed by Claw, but I just didn't feel like enough happened on screen to justify that switch that was so drastic. I don't know. I wasn't convinced by this character. Again, I thought the performance was pretty good, but I just didn't love the story arc of this character, so meh. So moving on to the antagonist of this film, we do have Claw, but the big antagonist, I'm not going to call him a villain because he really isn't, is Killmonger, and he is played by Michael Jordan, who, first off, I just gotta say, he's a good-looking man. He is attractive. So Killmonger is the main antagonist of this film, and he is so interesting and well done. His character is so fleshed out. They did an amazing job with the writing and the progression of this character, and I think that this is another scenario, kind of like the Batman and Joker in the Christopher Nolan films, where T'Challa and Killmonger are kind of like a yin and yang. They both have similar goals, but because of their life experiences and the way that they've grown up and the way that they've been raised, they have different perspectives on how to achieve those goals, and like vastly different. And so we understand Killmonger and where he's coming from and why he wants to achieve these things. He's very human, and he makes T'Challa realize certain things about himself and about his view of the world that he wouldn't have been able to if it was just a big bad coming from the sky trying to destroy the earth. They complement each other, their fates and their pasts are deeply interwoven, and it's so brilliantly well done. Like, I thought that this duo, as far as a protagonist and an antagonist, a hero and a villain, they complement each other so spectacularly well, I would say, as almost as well as the Batman and Joker from the Nolan films. Honestly, this to me is why I think this movie succeeded on such a great level, is because it challenged T'Challa's heroism, it challenged his worldviews, and he really grows from the start of the film to the end of the film. So moving on to T'Challa, I have to admit, when the movie first started, I wasn't the biggest fan of him. I didn't feel like he had that much presence. I didn't feel like he had that much character, but it was really nice to see his growth. And again, I don't think that this would have been possible without a super strong villain like we had with Killmonger, so I'm really glad that Killmonger was there. I don't think that he's my favorite hero. I don't think that he is the most standout hero. He's definitely a lot more intellectual and reserved, and even though he does sometimes not lash out, but he uses his physical strength to achieve his goals sometimes, it oftentimes feels very calculated. So it's an interesting new perspective on the superhero that we haven't really seen as much with a lot of the Marvel films, at least. I did enjoy that aspect of it for sure, and I definitely enjoyed that he was more intellectual and that he, you know, is a politician, because we haven't really seen that aspect of the superhero in the Avengers gang in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, obviously we have a little bit with, you know, Iron Man and some of the other heroes, like obviously Thor is a ruler, and you know, we have elements of it, but I don't think it was achieved as fully as with T'Challa. So I thought that that was really interesting, but it did take me a long time to warm up to his character because I just didn't feel like he had that much of one at the beginning of the film. That being said, he won me over by the end. I thought that his growth and his journey was incredibly interesting, and I thought that they did an extremely good job with it, so you know, kudos to that. And again, I think that I am kind of won over now. So moving on, I'd like to discuss some of the themes, and again, this is going to go into kind of spoiler section, but I'm going to try to keep the spoilers very light, so if you haven't seen the film and, you know, you want to obviously keep it as spoiler-free as possible, but really want to know a little bit more about what this movie looks at, then, you know, carry on. But otherwise, if you don't want to see any of the spoilery stuff, then thank you for tuning in. I really liked the themes and ideas that this movie presented. Do I think that they were a little overambitious with it and sometimes the pace suffered? Yes. But I'm glad that they were there. I think that this movie did a really great job at looking at growing up. It's almost a coming-of-age story because he realizes that the world isn't as black and white as he thought. So obviously this is like a full-grown man, but the moment his father dies and he kind of becomes his father, obviously, you know, physically in becoming the Black Panther, but also metaphorically in becoming the king and taking on the role that his father had, we kind of see that he, you know, goes from seeing his father as this really great, strong leader, a kind of almost perfect figure, to him realizing that his father is human and has made mistakes. That's the kind of progression throughout. I'm not going to go into the spoilers and specifics as to why. You'll have to watch the movie for that. But it's really nice to see this development because his perspective of the world changes as his perspective as his father changes. And I thought that that was really well done and nuanced. It wasn't like a 0 to 100 thing. It was slowly these revelations accumulated so that his perspective of his father shifts. And again, we get those scenes where he is able to speak to his father, and like I mentioned, we get to see that progression in the way that his relationship is with his father. And by the end, he's kind of become an adult, and he's able to see and to kind of understand, I think, where his father was coming from and the mistakes that he made, and to really take on the responsibility of fixing those mistakes, which I thought was such a beautiful arc. I thought that it was done really truthfully and really well. So again, I would like to really applaud the filmmakers and writers for that, because that was probably my favorite aspect of the entire film. The film also looks at morality in the lens of, if you can help, should you? I mean, it's a lot more complicated than that. Alright, I apologize if anything has moved. My camera turned off, and when I turned it back on and recorded the end of this video about half an hour ago, I guess the focus changed. I'll insert a clip so that you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, again, I apologize, but that's kind of all I wanted to say in regards to the themes and ideas presented in this movie. I don't want to go too far in depth into that because I don't want to go too far into the spoilers and whatnot, but it does present a lot of interesting ideas, and it goes further beyond that and looks at race and diversity, which I don't necessarily feel like I need to talk about, because I think that there are a lot of people that are more equipped to talk about that who have already discussed it. But again, I think it presents a lot of really interesting ideas and concepts. I think it tackles them in really interesting ways without going too far into what is right and wrong. It kind of lets you decide your own versions of it to an extent. I just thought that it was presented really extremely well. And I kind of was super excited about this movie because it kind of brought me back to a discussion and video that I had done a while back on humanity and morality in young adult literature. In this video, I kind of discussed how in a lot of young adult fiction, I find that there hasn't been a lot of discussion or dissection or thesis about, you know, humanity or morality. It doesn't really challenge those things, and that's not to say that it never has. I just felt that recently I haven't seen that. And on that video, I got a lot of comments saying that, well, things don't always have to be deep or meaningful or challenge these, you know, ideas and notions. Things can just be fun. And I completely agree. I totally understand that. I watch reality television, I watch crap movies sometimes, just for the enjoyment of it. But I think this movie is a good example that it can be a fun superhero action movie and also present interesting ideas, and it can do it super well. And I think that's what I was trying to get at with that video, is that it can be fun and fast-paced and exciting and have a message. And I would even argue that it brings more enjoyment to it because it lasts longer than the end of the movie. I find the fun things, you enjoy it while you're watching it, but when it has a message, you think about it long after. So I know I'm going way off track with that, but I just wanted to say that that is part of the reason that this movie excited me so much, was that it blended fun with, you know, questioning things, and again, it just made me super psyched, and I couldn't recommend this movie more. So definitely it is like a 4.5 out of 5, has my seal of approval, would recommend 100%. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel, and I really love having discussions with you guys in the comment sections of my videos. So if you have any thoughts on this movie, let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, what some of your thoughts are on the messages that it conveyed, and I would love to chat with you, so comment that down below. As I said, like, subscribe to my channel, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.